This is a third stimulus check update. Last night, the House had a procedural vote for the COVID relief bill. It was a 219 to 210 vote, which means today, Wednesday, March 10th, the COVID relief bill is set to vote and pass. I'll give you all the details on that and when you can expect to get your $1,400 stimulus check and what the current timeline is. Nancy Pelosi was asked, are there going to be any more COVID relief bills in the future? I'll play the exact response of what she said. Chuck Schumer is promoting $50,000 in cancellation of student loan debt. Then I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you appreciate these fact-based, fast-paced updates, then hit the like button down below. So Alaska is the first state to open vaccines for all adults. This is big news. Let me know down in the comments below, have you gotten your vaccine yet? Are you looking forward to getting your vaccine? Or do you not want to take your vaccine? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Over the next few weeks, we're probably going to see more and more states open up giving vaccines to more adults. Let's talk about the final vote today. The House is gearing up for the big COVID relief plan vote today. So last night there was a procedural motion. It was a 219 to 210 vote in the House for Tuesday evening. And this was a procedural motion, kind of like a vote to have a vote. That happened last night, which sets up the vote for today, Wednesday morning. And then it's going to be a 2 hour of debate. Then they're going to have the final vote. So one Democrat actually voted against it. Last night it was Democrat Representative Jared Golden from Maine, and I think he voted against it the first time as well when it passed in the House. So even if a few votes go the opposite way for Democrats, this bill is still most likely going to pass. So it looks like today might be the day that it'll finally pass for the $1,400 stimulus checks. I'm going to go over a timeline in a moment, but first, Nancy Pelosi was asked the question, are there going to be more COVID relief bills? Here's her response to that question.
Mr. Speaker, I think even last fall when the last COVID relief bill passed, you were already talking about having to do another bill in the new administration. Do you think this is the last primarily COVID bill that you'll have to take up?
You're just going to have to ask the virus. If it stops mutating, if it stops spreading and therefore mutating, then this will be. And some of the provisions in here that have a fuse, like the expanded tax, the enhanced unemployment insurance benefit that goes until the fall. We'll just see where we are then. But it's not anything anybody can predict. It's just a question of the science, and we will have legislation to address it for as long as it's there. Any comments?
Can I ask that a different way? I mean, you've talked about the importance of crushing the virus. Are you confident that provisions in this bill can do that?
Yes. Again, what is interesting about this virus is that it's resourceful. It mutates. It has variants. And so too must we be resourceful and resilient in how we deal with it. But we will be on top of it.
Nancy Pelosi not giving a definitive answer if we're going to have more COVID relief in the future, I guess because we don't know what's happening with the virus. Is the vaccine going to completely crush the virus? Are our lives going to go back to normal? We don't know yet, but there are Democrats who are still urging President Biden for recurring stimulus checks in the Build Back Better plan, which is the infrastructure plan that's coming up next. So there were 10 Democrat senators who are for recurring stimulus checks. That includes Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, among many others. And they're saying that the crisis is far from over and families deserve certainty and that they could put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. So even if the virus does go away, there are still many families who are affected from that first shutdown who haven't recovered yet. So I'll keep you updated on that. Most likely, if there is, it's not going to happen for a while. Next up is Kevin McCarthy responding to Nancy Pelosi's response.
Well, I want to play something. We're going to go back to Nancy Pelosi here because she was asked about whether there would be more bills like this COVID bill. That means more trillion-dollar type pieces of legislation, Congressman, and this is how it went down. Watch.
Do you think this is the last primarily COVID bill that you'll have to take up?
You're just going to have to ask the virus. If it stops mutating, If it stops spreading and therefore mutating, then we'll just see where we are then. But it's not anything anybody can predict. It's just a question of the science.
Congressman, my breath is taken away. No, she's saying it depends on the virus's mutations. She doesn't know anything about immunology, obviously. She doesn't know anything about the fact that the virus is clearly less lethal than it was a year ago. But she's leaving the door open to more spending, meaning the states can stay locked down, meaning the fall can be closed for kids' schooling.
Would you expect any answer from any other socialist? It's what Margaret Thatcher said. You will eventually run out of everybody else's money. And that's what's happening with this $1.9 trillion. This money does nothing to put people back to work, back to school, or back to health. It uses it to reward those that they care most about, the mismanagement of states across this nation, to reward federal employees who have not been laid off, give them $21,000, or state employees a $25,000 bonus. That is hardworking taxpayers' money. It is costing every family more than $5,000, and a few people will get a $1,400 check. It's one of those crazy emails you get from another nation. It's stupid.
Congressman, it seems like they think they can buy off the voters in 2022. That's what it seems like. If they spend enough, they print enough money, borrow enough from Japan or China or wherever borrowing it from these days, or just printing it, they'll be able to buy voters off. Are you worried that people are going to get used to being, sadly, on the federal dole?
I'm concerned about it because what we're finding today, by continuing to pay more for people who are unemployed and not giving them incentive to go back to work, you find this time and again, where's the accountability? Where's the work incentive to get people working again? That's what we'd like to see going forward. But again, the Democrats find no other way than to provide checks out. And I'm concerned about that, but I trust the American public that we rather work than have a government just pay us. We rather have a better future, and we rather not sacrifice our children's and grandchildren's futures for our wasting of money today.
Congressman, looks like 2 more months of razor wire and National Guard troops around the Capitol. Anything we can do to shut that down, or that's going to depend on the virus's mutation as well?
No, it should not. There is no threat. I mean, think of the hypocrisy. That is the hypocrisy wall. They will not protect the border. They want to take a wall down around the border, but they want to put a wall around the people's house. That National Guard, do you know if the National Guard sitting out there sees somebody climbing the wall, they can't do anything. They have to call the Capitol Police.
Get a cappuccino.
They won't even let people into the Capitol. That wall needs to come down. The people need to be invited back in, and we need to protect our borders and let the people get back to work and back to school.
Next up, let's talk about the timeline for the $1,400 stimulus check and when you can actually expect to get it. So today, Wednesday, March 10th, we're assuming that the House is going to pass it, which means it'll pass in Congress finally. Let's hope. Now, assuming that happens, we could split into 2 different timelines here. If President Biden decides to just sign it right away tomorrow, then it becomes into law. Or tomorrow, if he decides to wait a few extra days for dramatic effect and wait until the March 14th deadline, then he could sign it then. And you're going to see 2 different sets of timelines here, but let's assume this first one is going to happen. So he signs it tomorrow, which means the week of March 17th. March 17th is a Wednesday, which is when, if we look at the first stimulus check, second stimulus check, it was usually sent on a Wednesday for direct deposit. So most likely, March 17th, Wednesday, is when the first direct deposits are going to go out. This is all based on assumptions on what happened with the first 2. Now, the paper checks could be sent out the following week, and then the EIP debit cards, which are the ones that everyone pretty much threw out because they thought it was junk mail, that'll come out the week of March 31st. And then hopefully everything will be wrapped up by mid-April, and everyone should get their stimulus checks. For all the dependents, your money will go to the person who claimed you as a dependent. So this is the timeline right here. I really hope we stick to this and we could be finally done with this, which has been dragged out for months and months. Moving on, let's talk about Chuck Schumer, who is pressuring President Biden for student loan forgiveness. So Chuck Schumer sent out a tweet saying more than 43 million Americans are crushed under more than $1.5 trillion in federal student loan debt. A crisis of this magnitude requires bold action. President Joe Biden can cancel student loan debt through executive action. And this is in response to a tweet from Pramila Jayapal, who is the Progressive Caucus chair. And she said, the President of the United States should cancel $50,000 in student loan debt. So they already tried to do this before, and President Biden said, no, I'm not going to make that happen. Maybe up to $10,000, but $50,000 is too much. But I guess it doesn't hurt for them to keep trying and keep hammering down on President Biden to do $50,000 in student loan debt, saying that it can be done through executive action. Still no word from President Biden about any student loan debt cancellation, $200 Social Security increase, nothing on that yet. Big promises that were made during his campaign, but nothing on that yet. Next, I'm going to answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Sheila Bethia asks, if my child's father claims him this year on his taxes, he will get monthly payments for my child. Will I get the $3,000 next year when I claim my child? So if you're going to swap, so this year, for 2020, if your kids were claimed for under your father, then it's a $2,000 tax credit. But for the moving forward, for 2021, let's say you were to claim the kids now, then the monthly payments would start in July. So it all depends on the timing. This past child tax credit was $2,000 for 2020, which will pay you in these months right now in 2021. Dean Morris asks, I am a Republican. However, if the Republicans are unhappy with the COVID relief bill, why did they do nothing for the last 8 months when they were in power? Sounds like sour grapes. What do you think? I think that the Republicans had their opportunity to do something. Instead of doing a little something, they did pretty much nothing. Since they were in control, they could have done something if they wanted to. Santi Lawn asks, if we are getting $250 a month starting in July for the child tax credit, would it be foolish to assume that would be July 2021 to June 2022? No, that's about right, because it's for a whole year. So you should get that monthly payment for an entire year, which at $250 will add up to $3,000 or $3,600, depending on how old your kids are. Then yes, that's right. For an entire year, you should get those monthly payments. Kathy Gonzalez asks, welcome back. Glad you're better. Thank you so much. I claim my adult daughter who is disabled. I know I will be the recipient of the $1,400 payment for her, but will the payment go into my account or will it go into the account set up for SSDI? So the stimulus check is completely separate from Social Security checks, right? So this is basically coming from the IRS. So it is not going to go into the SSDI account. It's going to go into whatever form of payment that you got your stimulus check from. You're going to get your stimulus check, including any money that you got for dependents. So not in the account for SSDI. Betty Black asks, question, what if SSI was claimed as dependent in 2019? Does the check go to the claimant, not the defendant? So 2019, unfortunately, this doesn't apply. There's no retroactive dependent stimulus checks. So the only stimulus check that adult dependents are eligible for is the third $1,400 stimulus check. Any first or second stimulus checks that people were claimed as dependents for, unfortunately, are not eligible for those stimulus checks, for any past stimulus checks. So Money Mark asks, my son's mother claimed him last year, but I claim my son this year and I've already filed my taxes. Will I get his $1,400 stimmy or will it go to his mom? So the IRS is going to go off of whatever recent tax return they have on file. So assuming that you just filed your taxes now for 2020 in 2021, then you should be getting that stimulus check for the dependent money, since that is what the IRS has on file. That is all the stimulus news I have for you today. To brighten your day a bit, here is my 7-year-old daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. So like when you have a headache, 90% of headaches you need to drink some water because headaches with water, headaches makes you feel dry and it doesn't make you feel good. So water helps you. So that's all I wanted to say for today. And also, guys, you have to stay good. And guys, don't get sick.
And if you were looking to raise your credit score, because your credit score will affect so many different areas of your life and could save you tens of thousands of dollars over the course of your entire life, click this video over here. It's on my Wise Sense channel. It goes over different ways of how to raise your credit score, and I'll show you my own personal credit score of how I was able to get it above 800. So click that video right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.